Lamborghini was a racing game developed by UK studio Rage Software. Due to be released in the later half of 2003, the game never saw the light of day and was cancelled due to Rage Software going into bankruptcy. The financial issues at Rage were brought on by the costs associated with Rage publishing various other titles in the early 2000s and the sales not providing enough turnover. Now, looking back at Rage's back catalogue, it's a case of a developer that has a very hit and miss track record. For every decent title they made, such as Hostile Waters, there was a bucket load of crap titles such as David Beckham's Soccer, Crash and Twin Caliber. I highly recommend TheDevilsJoker's 3-part YouTube video on this game. It's a really funny watch.
Only if you're quick enough, pal. You got lucky 2 years ago when you locked me up inside this hole.
God damn, how specific do you want to be? You locked me up 258 days ago in this hellhole when you were wearing your blue shirt. They also made a bold choice in the checkpoint noise being the sheriff ejaculating all over the microphone.
Lamborghini, on the other hand, seemed to be fairly promising. It had some coverage in UK magazines and with online gaming publications worldwide. Plus, there was a May 2003 Xbox magazine demo that would be one of the many ways gamers could sample the title before it slipped into the chambers of obscurity. Fast forward to 2022, the game is finally being shared onto the internet for all Xbox owners to enjoy. The build that has been released is a beta 2002 Xbox Live version that has been slightly modified by the community to run on modern consoles. The original source of this game was a disc for online testing purposes, but has some oddities buried within the kernel and can't be played through normal methods, hence the patch version that I am playing. So, after lingering within the realms of obscurity, what is it like? On the surface, this appears to be a full version of the game, but all intents and purposes I will be labelling this video as an impressions due to the many issues that I experienced. First off, let's start off with the positives. The frame rate, it is silky and smooth. Running in widescreen at 480p and at 60 frames per second, the game feels snappy and quick, serving the Lamborghini license well. The game's handling model goes for a pure arcade pick up and play method. It won't be long until you get a grips with your very first Lambo. All the cars sound powerful and have a nice beefy Lambo sound to them. Cars show damage, have wobbly bumpers from battling it out with other on-track rivals. Sparks fly when you're grinding up against your other opponents, and the glass cracks from the pressure of your chassis twisting from the other bangs and scrapes. Track design is relatively straightforward and easy to navigate, with the majority of sharp corners and turns clearly labelled with flashing lights. Courses range from tracks set within winding city streets and GP tracks to other locations such as Sydney, which have long straights and very tight sharp turns. Weather effects are also very well done. Rain realistically splashes down the screen at high speed, and surface water regularly impedes your ability to safely control your Lambo at high speeds. Dense fog in the Rome stage created a satisfying feeling of racing during a damp, dreary morning. The soundtrack is wholly original and not of the typical licensed affair. A lot of the audio sometimes has an influence of BT's Fast and Furious score to it, whereas the rest of the in-game music can sound very dance orientated, which does suit the fast gameplay of Lamborghini. cars are upgradable and can be stored and viewed with your trophies in your own personal garage, very much akin to what Test Drive Unlimited would achieve 3 years later in 2006. The career modes are broken up with individual challenges and bets with other drivers. They have very peculiar looking faces and voiceovers.
Hello. You want to race me? How'd you like that? That's too high. Okay.
It's also possible to take the game online and play Xlink with 7 other players. And now for some of the negative points. First off, with the AI.
Salutations. Fancy a contest? You have yourself. Let's see how serious you really are.
Taking into account the year it was developed, and technically this isn't the full release, only a beta, I was on the fence regarding criticism towards the artificial intelligence of the other drivers, but it really does need mentioning. There's definitely rubber banding at play here, but the way how the game delivers it is very unusual. For example, there was a few occasions where I was in second place towards the end of a race, and the AI looks like it deliberately spins out on a corner, allowing me to catch up. There also seems to be no middle ground with the opponents on terms of how far ahead or behind you are. The first lap always seems to be the most intense, and then afterwards you tend to find that you're on your own, with other opponents lagging behind, or with one AI driver ahead waiting to spin out, letting you catch up and then take the first place from off them. There feels like there's very little to no risk with some of the racing, creating a boring, predictable single player experience.
How will I be able to get to the opera now?
The damage system is also a little strange. Instead of allowing a player to see how much damage your car has sustained via a percentage indicator, or from anything else that's just visual feedback, you are just left there to visually assess the cosmetic condition and to just hope for the best. Sometimes it can be difficult to judge on just how far gone your car is before it is then just too damaged to race again. This means that the game will decide for you when your car is just totaled, and you have to repair your car or actually buy another one from the dealership in order to proceed within the single player mode. Another issue is motion blur. Now, this is nothing new in racing games, and it's been implemented in many other arcade racing games such as Burnout, but the way how it's implemented here is just really bizarre. Not only does the game blur the side of the screen, it also obscures the view ahead at high speed, totally making courses such as the Sydney course way more difficult than it needs to be, especially during the rain. And I feel like if this effect was reduced slightly, or if there was even just an option to turn it off completely, it would improve the racing experience at high speeds. Which now leads me to the handling modelling. The majority of the cars, disappointingly, all feel the same to drive, barring the speed that they differ. All having a good amount of understeer, which is not a terrible driving experience, but the game just doesn't provide that feeling that you're driving a 1.5 ton Lamborghini Yalpa.
That was unfair. I wasn't given time to prepare.
And now the bugs. This game is just not 100% stable. There's been many times I've had my career progress lost, or the directory corrupt from really no fault of my own, requiring a full delete from off my hard drive and a reinstall in order just to boot into the game, which is a real shame because it's a game that's still worthwhile checking out, even in its beta 2002 state, especially if you want to play this over on Xlink. Overall, it's easy to see why this game was delayed to the later half of 2003. It has its problems, but I think the majority of the issues at hand are probably down to the inconsistencies of the developer, Rage Software. Despite the impressive frame rate and the overall license presentation, the actual gameplay feels very reminiscent of a budget title. With its wonky AI, basic handling model, I think this might have been a decent budget racer if it had actually released. It definitely wouldn't have topped the likes of Toka Race Driver, Project Gotham Racing or Need for Speed. Its main appeal comes down to the extensive coverage of desirable classic and then modern Lamborghini cars, rather than its actual gameplay.
I'll be the laughing stock at the wine club now.
Having said that, I'm happy that I have experienced a near complete version of Lamborghini, as it's one of those what if games had it actually released back in 2003, and there's still not a dedicated Lamborghini game as of the production of this video, which is a shame because there's plenty of Ferrari, Porsche and Ford licensed car games out there. I'll provide a link within this video's description of the download for Rage Software's Lamborghini. Take care and I'll catch you next time.